Close your eyes and count to 5, starting now.
Okay, open them. Did you actually do it, or did you just keep scrolling?
Either way, your brain just lied to you. If you actually stopped to count, those 5 seconds stretched out. If you didn't, they vanished. And as you get older, your brain stops stretching anything and just hits fast forward. The days compress. Years begin to slip by in the blink of an eye. Today, we are hacking the brain's inner clock. We are dissecting the exact neuroscience of why your life is accelerating and how you can take absolute high-agency control to slow it down. Let's go. Let's start with a brutal mathematical reality. It's a mathematical trap discovered over 100 years ago called Janet's Law. This theory proposed that your brain doesn't perceive time in a straight, objective line. Instead, we measure time relative to the total scale of our lived experience. Think of it like a simple fraction. When you are 5 years old, a single year represents exactly 1/5 of your entire life. That is 20% of your existence. It is an astronomical, deeply significant block of time. To a 5-year-old, a single summer holiday feels like an entire epoch. But when you turn 50 years old, that same calendar year shrinks to a mere 1/50th of your life, just 2% of your total existence. When you map this out, you hit a terrifying milestone. Because of this shrinking percentage, you've subjectively finished half your entire life by the time you turn 20. Let that sink in. By your 20th birthday, your internal clock has already run through 50% of its perceived duration. A summer holiday for a young child feels as long as the entire decade between your 40th and 50th birthdays. But while Janet's Law is clean, elegant, and mathematically terrifying, it is not the whole story. Your brain is not a pocket calculator. It is a biological engine, and its gears are beginning to slow down. To understand the physical clock inside your head, we have to talk about Cronoception. Unlike your eyes or ears, your sense of time does not have specialized receptor cells. There is no time organ under your skin. Instead, your brain tracks time through the firing rate of your neurons. Think of your neural impulses as an internal metronome. In your youth, your synapses are firing at maximum speed. Your metabolic rate is high, and the velocity of your neural transmissions is at its absolute peak. But as we age, the physical speed at which our neurons fire begins to decline. Your brain's wiring gets a little worn down, and your eyes don't dart around as fast as they used to, slowing down your internal processing speed. And here is the paradox. If your internal clock slows down, the external world, which is running at a constant physical rate, appears to speed up. This was beautifully demonstrated in a study where researchers asked people of all ages to close their eyes and guess when 2 minutes had passed. The teenagers and young adults were spot on, but the seniors, they thought 2 minutes was over when only 86 seconds had actually passed. Their internal metronome was lagging. To them, 2 minutes was over in just 86 seconds. The world outside was literally outrunning their brains. But biology is only half the battle. There is a specific chemical you're addicted to that is literally stealing your years. And you're probably chasing it right now. Let's play a mental game. Imagine a screen showing you a sequence of identical images.
Loop. 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 Suddenly, a completely bizarre, highly detailed image of a snarling dog pops up. Your brain immediately registers this as a deviant stimulus. This is known in cognitive psychology as the oddball paradigm. If you ask participants to estimate how long each image was on the screen, they will almost always state that the oddball was displayed 10% to 30% longer than the others, even though the physical time was exactly identical. Why? Because of memory density and energy expenditure. When your brain encounters something completely novel, it has to expend a massive amount of energy to process it. At age 5, your brain consumes a staggering 66% of your body's entire resting energy just to catalogue a world where everything is a new experience. High energy expenditure translates directly to high memory density, and your brain calculates the passage of time in retrospect by looking at how many distinct memories it created. And the chemical engine driving this entire process is dopamine. We usually think of dopamine as the pleasure chemical we get from eating a slice of pizza or checking a social media notification. But a groundbreaking study published in Nature Communications earlier this year proved that dopamine is deeply tied to how we segment time.
Researchers scanned volunteers using fMRI and watched a key dopamine-producing hub, the Ventral Tegmental Area, or the VTA. They found that whenever a volunteer experienced an event boundary, a sudden unexpected change in their environment, the VTA immediately flared with activity, releasing a burst of dopamine. Crucially, when the VTA was strongly activated, and when the volunteers blinked more, a physical sign of high dopamine signaling, their subjective memory of that time expanded. Dopamine acts like a physical wedge that your brain inserts into the continuous stream of reality. It pushes neighboring events farther apart in your memory, making the experience feel stretched, rich, and beautifully long. In a moment, I'm going to show you exactly how to force those dopamine wedges back into your day. But first, we have to look at the silent killer of your time, your routine. Now, contrast that quantum-level dopamine signaling of your youth with the reality of typical adulthood. Wake up, check phone, drive the exact same route to work, stare at the same screen, eat the same lunch, drive home, watch TV, sleep, repeat. When your life is entirely predictable, your brain recognizes that there are zero event boundaries. There are no novel stimuli, no prediction errors. The VTA remains completely dormant. Your brain looks at your day and says, "I already know how this ends. No need to waste precious metabolic energy recording this." It de-duplicates your life. It deletes the copies. If the oddball image is what stretches time, most adult lives are the exact opposite. They are the boring, repeating loop that your brain eventually stops even looking at. So while that 8-hour workday might feel painfully slow in the moment because you are bored and constantly staring at the clock, when you look back at your week, or your month, or your year, it collapses into a singular, compressed point of nothingness. You didn't actually live those 10 years on autopilot. Your brain just deleted the repetitive footage to save hard drive space. If you live your life on autopilot, you may physically die at 80 years old, but subjectively, you died at 20. That sounds like a life sentence. It's not. You can hijack the system. You are not a passive victim of this temporal decay. You have absolute agency over the speed of your subjective time. You can break Janet's law. Here is your highly active, neuro-biologically backed blueprint to slow down the clock. First, seek aggressive novelty.
If you want to expand your years, you must constantly feed your brain new data. Learn a new language, or pick up a complex musical instrument. But it doesn't have to feel like a PhD. Even just reading a book on a topic that completely confuses you forces your brain to build new roads, encoding highly detailed memories that expand time in retrospect. Second, shatter your daily scripts. You don't need to quit your job and move to a tropical island to experience event boundaries. Just change your physical patterns. Walk a completely different route to your office. Rearrange the furniture in your bedroom. Eat foods you've never tried before. These tiny structural shifts work by triggering that dopamine wedge, inserting those temporal divisions that prevent your weeks from bleeding together.
Third, practice active presence. When you are bored or waiting in line, do not immediately pull out your phone to scroll. That is a synthetic autopilot that numbs your brain. Instead, engage your brain's manual override. Force yourself to actively track what's around you. Observe the micro details of the room. Look at the textures. Listen to the ambient noises. Being painfully aware of the moment is how you stretch the seconds into minutes. Time is a physical constant in the universe, but inside the human skull, it is a canvas waiting to be painted. You cannot stop the physical clock from ticking, but you can absolutely stop your mind from compressing your years into a single blurry weekend. Hit that subscribe button to join our community of high-agency thinkers, and drop a comment below with the last genuinely new thing you did to break your script. Let's make this timeline count. Or, you can just go back to autopilot and watch the next 10 years fly by in 10 seconds. Your call. Until next time, stay silly.